All right, guys, welcome back to day number 3 of the Fit Chick Project. And today I'm coming at you with a super high energy interview with expert Laurie Christine King, otherwise known as LCK. Now, this girl, she is a no BS dietetics grad, a nutrition and fitness coach, a former CrossFit Games team athlete, a YouTube blogger, and an educational vlogger. This girl doesn't mess around, okay? She's got a ton of value to share. And especially for those women who feel like they're doing everything right. They're in the gym, they work hard, and they just can't figure out why their body's not changing. So this is for you guys. After being diagnosed with hypothyroid in her late high school years, LCK has been on a continuous pursuit to not only turn around her own health, but help prevent other women from being in that same position that she was in. She is a unique expert in the CrossFit space because she doesn't just know information on nutrition and hormones. She knows what it's like to actually drink the Kool-Aid, drink the CrossFit, do more, work harder, suffer longer Kool-Aid. She took pride in hashtag no rest days until her body broke down and she was forced to pull back. Needless to say, she is the perfect expert to start this interview project off, and I'm so excited to have her on today. Some of my favorite lessons from this interview are, number one, how her 1-hour class WODs turned into hours in the gym, going harder on deload weeks and not taking rest days, something I think we all know about. Number two, the signs and symptoms to watch out for when your body is breaking down. Number three, the way you should and shouldn't be working out. Number four, how she made the transition away from the competitive environment. Number five, why women struggle to work out less. Number six, the things you should be focusing on besides your next workout or your macros. And number seven, the most important thing that you can do to start seeing results from all your hard work in the gym immediately, okay? So grab your notebook and check this out. And when you're done, be sure to click the links below or in the email and check out her website where she's got ebooks, training plans, and a full apparel line for sale, okay? And then, of course, let me know what your biggest takeaways are. I would love to hear from you guys. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow.
That's cool.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Yeah, I love your apparel. Dude, I love everything that you're doing. I love it all. I was just like, go ahead.
It's a wild time because it's like I'm in a really big shift right now because it's like I've been coaching for 12 years. And so it's like, I don't want to talk about food and nutrition anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
And I never thought I would hit that point, but it's like, that's totally where we're at. So it's like, how do we still continue? Like, because I can't ever leave that world, right? So it's like, how do you still continue to put out content to help people? But like, how do I also do the things that I want to do? Which again, it's like even the apparel, that's still the goal of like helping people feel really good in their skin and their body and stuff like that. It's just different than like, hey, meal prepping and stuff like that,
Yeah. It's like there's only so much you can say about it, right? It's like, okay, let's move beyond that.
100.
But people are so focused on that they could just continue to think that that's the thing.
And so like it's hard too because it's like how many different ways can you talk about reverse dieting? How many different it's like there's only so many ways you can spin things. So it's we're definitely in a transition, a shift, and like it's still good. But it's like again just finding that right balance because it's like, well fuck man, all the people that follow me, came here for this, like how do I get them to level up with me rather than, be like, oh, just posting content 5 days a week. So like, see you later. It's like, it's definitely, it's a balance. It's an ebb and a flow.
What would you like to do? Like, how would you like them to level up with you? Like, what would you like to teach them instead?
So I'm really just enjoying, like, I've kind of come back full circle. Because it's like I got away when I stopped coaching in CrossFit gyms and when I stopped doing like seminar stuff. So it's like I kind of like got away from being super into like fitness. And it's like I've still always trained, but it was like for sure, like 2015, 16, 17, we're all about nutrition, especially the past couple of years. So it's like I'm kind of just like aiming more to be like the female version of like Marcus Philly or Ryan Fisher, where it's like putting out content because fuck man, like if I see another girl that's like, oh yeah, hypertrophy and has like a 5-pound dumbbell, like go fuck
Oh my
yourself,
God.
you know? So I think
Yes.
that's really, that's a big shift. As well as I really just want to kind of do limited runs of stuff. So again, like, hey, we're only going to make 100 really sick fucking backpacks. And if you don't buy it, sucks to suck, you know? And so we just want to kind of dabble in like product creation, but it's like having a
Okay.
brand and having a product and like successfully pushing it and, you know, having it show up in Whole Foods, like that's really, really hard. But like, you know, what's not hard is kind of like the flag nor fail model of, hey, we only have this, like, get it, okay, cool, and on to the next. So kind of getting to dabble in product creation without all of the commitment and like more importantly, all of the money, because it's like, even if you start, you know, a supplement and you're like, hey, I want to make, you know, a pre-workout, it's like usually those unit minimums are like thousands. So it's like, hey, well, if you don't have 70 grand, like you don't get to pay to play. And it's like, that's like money is not an issue, but it's like, I don't want it tied up in that shit. You know, it's like monopoly money at that point.
Yeah. And I agree. I think that model works really well. It works for me. It makes me want to buy when they're like, oh, we only got so much. You know who else? Like Lululemon does that. And you're just like, man, damn, I didn't get that style or that color. So that would work really well. That's cool. Yeah.
It works. And it's right now we're actually making custom branded snapbacks. So there's a brand called Branded Bills and literally the order minimum is 12. And I'm like, you are my ideal person, right? Because it's like, well, we'll probably end up buying, you know, 50 or 100, but they make like, you basically send them a logo or you send them whatever your design is, and then they emboss it and like embed it on a leather patch. And so they can like custom cut it. It can come in different colors. So I'm still waiting. We're like right now waiting on the mock-ups on that. But it's like, again, just like super fun stuff. And it's like unicorn items, you know? So that's definitely been what's like been lighting up my world right now.
That's exciting. That's totally different. And that sounds very like creative, you know, and fun designing that kind of stuff. So you're not doing any one-on-one coaching right now anymore.
So I haven't done one-on-one coaching. So we are right at like 1,800 members with Paragon. We're somewhere like between 18 and 1,900. So it's like that takes up all of like I couldn't make time if I had time, but it's also like that's so many cups that you're trying to pour into that there's no fucking way like I could be doing one-on-one stuff with people. And like I'm definitely beyond coaching as well, where it's like I got my own shit to handle. Like I can't handle your shit too, right? So it's like I said, it's just been an interesting couple of years because like I always knew I wouldn't be coaching one-on-one, you know, stuff forever, but I didn't know what the next step is. And now you're like, oh, well, cool. All right. Like,
that's cool.
We got it. What about your stuff? Because obviously like you stopped competing a few years ago, but like what's kind of been the ebb and flow and stuff like that for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've kind of, I've really gone into one-on-one coaching and I've sort of dabbled in group coaching and stuff like that. But my transitions has been super, I feel like very unique, very different. And like you, like, I don't want to talk about diet and exercise. Like, I don't, that's not where it's at. Like there's plus like everybody's talking about it and like, it's just all the same shit. So, and for me, it was something different. Right. And like, I ended up like gaining a lot of weight when I was working out really hard. And that's when everything, you know, shut down. And that's when I realized like how important stress was. And so I got into like, okay, well, how am I going to manage this? And I naturally sort of fell into just sort of like a lot of like spiritual kind of stuff, like just energy and sort of meditation, but I like use it to like train my mind. And it's been super powerful in helping me like just enjoy working out more, you know? And I thought I loved it, but I think I was really just lying to myself. You know, I thought I was like, oh, I love working hard, you know, but I think I made like this trap, like thinking that that's just what I had to do. So I lied to myself and told myself I loved it, because now I like truly love doing it. Like, and I just let the, you know, my body kind of do what it does, like in the workout. Like I don't set times, I don't set intensity or any like goals like that anymore, because I just like, I'm too hard on myself, you know? So It's been super freeing.
So like we've joked about this for years because it's like obviously, you know, I'm good friends with like the Mind Pump Media boys, or you know, I'm good friends with Mike Malloy that runs M2 Nutrition, was actually my coach way back in the day. But it's like the more successful of athlete you are, the more fucked up you are. And like I mean that in the most loving way possible. But like it's coming from a place of self punishment, you know, and stuff like that. And it's like when you get away from that, it's like I couldn't be more turned off by CrossFit like if I tried. And it's like a delicate balance because I'm not ever trying to slam it. Like I appreciate where I came from, but it's like I was always training from a place of like hatred for my, you know, for my body and why did my body look a certain way, and oh my God, I'm working so hard. You know, it was like I wasn't having a successful workout unless I left myself, you know, on the floor rolling around, you know, all the bullshit. And it's like,
exactly.
fuck. Like how do you teach people the medium, right? Because it's like, yes, work hard. Like even, you know, if I squat, like I'm fucking doing work, right? But it's not, again, it's not coming from that place of like wanting to get something out of the transaction or like, you know, having to look a certain way. You know, it's like I'm training because I genuinely just love it. It's exciting to chase PRs, but it's like I also could never hit a PR the rest of my life and be totally okay with it too. But it's like that didn't happen overnight. It's like that happened over the course of the past few years of just like going to therapy and also just like handling my own fucking shit.
Oh shit, you went to therapy. Okay, so this is really cool. Man, there's so many things that just kind of came up that I wanted to just ask you. Oh shoot. Oh, I can't
just
remember
a heads
what I was going
up,
to say.
nobody has ever done a 30 to 45 minute podcast with me. They always end, there's because it's like you can't go short on hormones, you can't go short on like any of that, right? So just a heads up, your time frame might end up longer.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna so I want to kind of talk about like this is just great because I want to talk about your transition and like what you've learned basically over that, and really kind of more. I mean, we can dive into science and stuff, but I feel like it's more mindset that is holding people back, you know, because like the CrossFit women they're so naturally go, like driven, right? Yeah. Like I just, you know, work harder and like, I'm not afraid of hard work. And, you know, so they strive. That it's just like a constant striving. And I'm really trying to like help out the women that just are stuck in striving mode, right? Either just like obsessed with the gym or counting macros and like just, you know, just their whole world is that, or they are, you know, they're working really hard and they're not seeing results, you know. And they're like, I'm doing the diet and exercise that Laurie tells me to do, but I'm not seeing results. So I want to kind of talk about which, and I think it, you know, stress isn't going to be like I don't like the word like, but so it's more like, you know, and that's what's holding them back. And so it's like, how do you get somebody to ease off and be okay with not crushing themselves and rolling on the ground after a workout and not make it seem like you're lazy or, you know, or like you're not doing enough. Like that seems like the hard part.
And I think it's like it really comes from education, right? Because it's like that's the piece that's missing. And again, like I hate to keep going like right back to CrossFit, but it's like we literally like it was a running joke in our gym, right? To be like, hashtag no rest days. Like we train 7 days a week. And yes, 2 of those days were like fucking swimming and gymnastics. It was still 3 hours of work every single day, you know? So it's like, I was so fucked up from that after, because it's like, well, everybody else is doing it. I should be doing it, you know, that sort of thing. So I think like talking about like education, but it's like, you do like you have to, everybody has different narratives, and so you have to work through those. You have to figure out, you know, where things are coming from. And again, it's like it's really hard to self-regulate. It's really hard to listen to your body if you're surrounded in an environment like Orange Theory, where it's like, oh, you have to be in the zone, or oh, hey, we're in spin class and we can see everybody's scores on the board, or again, like CrossFit is just like. So
that is
I think
such a good point.
There's tons of good stuff we could talk about for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of, I think the way I sort of transitioned is because, or the time that I made the most progress is when I wasn't at the gym. I was just like at a Globo gym, and I ended up doing things on my own, and I just sort of naturally found my own groove, working out from home instead of being in that environment that kept you in that same, sort of way of thinking?
So the quote I use a lot is, you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. And so like, if you saw my story yesterday, because I don't know why, but just thinking an abundance of like, I'm dealing with hormone problems. I don't have all my hormones came back super low. My thyroid sucks. I've got this autoimmune condition. And it's like people that are in the high intensity scene and not understanding that they're self-perpetuating their fucking issues, right? Yeah. So it's like, I did like a big long thing just talking about like, hey, motherfuckers, like nobody shows up on, a physique or bodybuilding stage doing CrossFit to get there. Like, they're on super low calories. They've been fucking starving themselves down to insanely low body fat percentages. But guess what? They're still able to train because like nobody gets fucking wrecked by bicep curls, right? So it's like, that's another thing we could talk about too, is just like, what are your actual goals and are you working in accordance to them? Because it's like, if you're dieting, you shouldn't be doing high intensity exercise. Like, you want the least stress on your body so your body will actually adapt. Same thing if you're struggling with hormone issues and all that stuff. Well, guess what? Like, it doesn't have to go away forever, but like A plus B doesn't equal, the outcome of you feeling better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Cool. Well, let's just kind of touch on first. Let's get started and explain like what did you achieve in CrossFit? Like, what was the peak of your athletic career? And then what do you see yourself kind of being a specialty in as far as nutrition? Because you said you were doing it for a long time. I don't think I realized how long you've been doing nutrition for.
Yeah, so I got my degree in dietetics. Like, I started that in 2008. So like, we're literally 12 plus years now, and you're like, God, like that feels like it's yesterday, but like, Christ,
man. That's awesome. And then what about CrossFit? Like, what did you were on a games team, right?
So I competed we got fucked so hard. So 2015, because we were always going as a team. So 2015, we missed it by a point. 2016, we went to regionals and competed. And then 2017, I actually moved to Houston to be on a team full of games athletes. And I tore my shoulder a week after I moved. So that was basically like, we're fucking done here. Cause it's like, that's when I'll like, basically all of that years of under recovery, overtraining, all that stuff, finally caught up with me. So it was like 2017 was the year I was hoping to, just compete one more time and then basically like call it quits. And then, like I said, it's like tore my shoulder. My shoulder is still fucked up to this day. It's like, I literally have $20,000 shoulders where it's like stem cells, had surgery, all the stuff. It's like, I was a competitive gymnast my whole life. So between that and then just like rushing to get back to the gym, like we're this shit's fucked, and it's
fine. So damn, girl, you've been competing for a long time.
Yeah,
so like we've been before CrossFit.
Yes.
And so what does your routine look like with CrossFit as far as like the number of hours and like of training? I know you said you were doing 7 days a week. So what does your training routine look like? And then we'll talk about what your diet looked like then.
So back then, we were training 7 days a week. So it was like Thursdays and Sundays where typically it would be like 45 minutes, give or take, of swim work. There'd be like gymnastics and skill work. But like, call a dog. It's like we train 7 days a week, even if we would never actually like admit that. But it was like hashtag no rest days was a total, like, it was something we took pride in. And like, now I look back, I'm like, that's so dumb. Like, why did we do that, right? But even nutrition, it was like, when you are working out that much, I'm 5'3", typically, I think back when I competed, I was like 130 pounds. I'm probably like 125 present day. But, it's like I was eating a substantial amount of food. I was averaging, anywhere like 3,200 to 3,400 calories. So like a decent chunk, but it's like, when you're chronically working out like that, like 3 to 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, like I was never hungry because I was just so far, in debt in terms of recovery, and just chronic under recovery and stuff like that. So it's like overtraining, under eating, under recovery, just this little awesome circle jerk that, kind of expedited to, my body breaking down, repeated over time.
Did you notice like, I mean, obviously we were obsessed with working out, but did you notice an obsession with food ever, like during that time?
I'll be honest. So like I went to dietetics school starting in 2008, and then again I've been in the coaching game for 12 plus years at this point. But it's like any food issues or any poor relationships I had with food really kind of remedied from just working through people, because it's like when you meet yourself as a client, it's the day that your entire world just blows up, right? Because it's like we all have our own bullshit stories about food. We all have our own bullshit stories about exercise, and it's like but you don't realize how bad it is until you meet that same identical tendency in other people, and just but truthfully, like at the time when I was competing and all of that, I was working with a nutrition coach, and they were doing the best they can of like, hey man, you need to take more rest days. Hey man,
Yeah.
like you need to freaking
Yeah.
eat more food. And be like,
Yeah, okay,
dude,
sure,
like,
sure thing.
right, cool, be right on it. Like if I eat more food, I'm literally gonna row. So it's like the nutrition stuff is hard because it's like I don't feel like I had any poor psychological issues. It was just physically like I cannot put more food in my stomach, because especially if you're
Okay.
working out twice a day, it's like it's the same as if you're in a caloric surplus where like eating is suddenly your second job, right? Like that's what it was. But it's like even your food quality has to compromise when you're eating that much food. You're trying to easily digest it, all that stuff. So I would say truthfully, like I did not have food struggles during the later years of competing, but I think certainly when I first got into CrossFit, because it's like you see all these people that are super shredded, super diced, and you're like, okay, I'm doing the same workouts as them. Like, why don't I look that way, right? So I would say it was really in like my earlier years of CrossFit, kind of from I'd say like 2012 to probably like 2016 is when I was for sure like not like genuinely not eating enough calories, and it'd be like, okay, well, like at that point it was like I was probably only I say only, right? I was only hitting the class workout, doing extra accessory work and competitive work and whatever.
Okay,
but it's like
so a normal gym member, basically.
Right, like a normal gym member, right? But I know that there was definitely a good slew of years where it was like I was first getting into macros. Everybody was like, oh yeah, women only need to eat like 16 to 1800 calories. And like, I'm not tall, so like, what did I know, right? Like, they don't teach macros in dietetics school. Like, they teach you the really big rocks. They teach you organic chemistry and biochemistry. Like, they don't get into macros. Like, macros was a totally new concept to me, even though I did get a degree in nutrition dietetics. So it's like I think over the course of the years I realized, like, now present day, if you follow me on social media, I'm always posting like, guys, literally, like, a woman, if you are an active woman, your maintenance calories are likely 2,000, 2,200 plus calories. Like, present day for me, I'm 5'3". I work out maybe 60 minutes a day, 4 to 5 times a week. And it's like, I can sit on 24, 2,500 calories. And like, if I eat anything less than that, I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm losing weight. Like, no, So I think that's like a very fascinating shift that happened, because it's like, well, we went through the phases where companies started coming out with nutrition templates, right? Oh, hey, well, you're 5'3", you weigh 125 pounds. Okay, cool. You need to eat this many calories. And it's like, you don't put 2 and 2 together until you actually map it out. Where you're like, oh, cool. Well, like, this isn't fucking enough food, right? Or it's like so many people started writing ebooks. So many companies kind of started coming out, and so you started seeing all these food trends and this and that. And so it's like, well, now present day, it's like you don't know what you don't know, but you had to, I had to go through and have that time in the trenches. I had to see, oh, cool. Well, this isn't working. I guess I need to eat more food. Oh, hey, that's funny. Suddenly I'm struggling, with all of these low hormone issues, menstrual issues, thyroid issues. Oh, cool. Maybe I'm self-expediting it because I'm training 5 kajillion hours. I'm not eating food, but I have really great abs, so it doesn't matter, right? Like, ooh.
Right. Or I must not be doing enough, right? So I must just like have to
God.
because because it's not working. So I'm just going to do the same thing, just harder, right? Yeah.
Well, and I feel like it's really like in 2012, 2011, 2012, it was like, it was totally normal in the CrossFit scene to be like, okay, like class workout and then you're done. And then it's like, again, like you said, it's like, it kind of started having this vibe of like, more is better. Oh, well, if you take rest days, like you're going to lose all your gains. You're going to lose all your progress. Like, even we were just talking about this with I run an online platform called Paragon Training Methods. We make workout programming and stuff like that for people. And so one of our programs was on their deload week this past week. And so we've just been having, tons of conversation on it. And so it's like, okay, present day, I understand that during a deload, like we should take a deload from training every 6 to 8 weeks. We should dial down frequency and volume and intensity, or just like get the fuck out of the gym and like take the week off, right?
Yeah.
But it's like in my CrossFit days, I feel like during deload weeks, like I went harder because there wasn't ever, nobody ever explained the things, but it's like, well, it's what everybody else was doing. So I was just following suit, right? So it's like, I think that CrossFit has done so many amazing things in terms of like, it's what got me into lifting. Like I was 93 pounds when I started CrossFit because it's like, I was marathon training. I would go to like yoga and Pilates and like stuff like that, so it's like CrossFit was the intro to me finally starting to appreciate like what my body could do rather than just what it looks like. And it got me into strength training, and it started me on this awesome journey to all this. But I feel like there was so much either misinformation or just total lack of, education information. Because it's like even present day, we talk about this all the time, and it's something we talked about offline, but it's like for the people, it's like high intensity exercise is stressful on the body. And so like, as someone that's always had thyroid issues and takes meds, like CrossFit should have been not ever in my wheelhouse of things that I was doing, but there was never the education of like, oh, hey, if you're struggling with hormone issues, if you're struggling with thyroid issues, like if you don't have a menstrual cycle, hey, maybe like high intensity exercise isn't for you, right? It's like, I'm now the person that's putting out that information because it's like, I'm trying to pay it forward and tell people the information I wish I would have learned, I don't know, like 10 years ago. But it's like, you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. And so if you are somebody where it's like, well, you felt really good doing high intensity exercise, and now all of a sudden you're in a weird sort of, oh, well, I'm working out harder, but I'm gaining weight, or oh, well, again, like nothing I'm doing is working, so let's add conditioning, let's add more metcons, let's add this and that. And it's like, you can't, like, it doesn't work like that. Like, you need to remove yourself and stop doing high intensity exercise if you want to turn those thyroid values around, if you want to see your menstrual cycle come back. And it doesn't have to go away forever. But again, it's like insanity is the definition of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And certainly if you start pushing harder, like it's not going to get any better. But again, like if you talk to, it's like, I hear this all the time where it's like, yeah, I asked my CrossFit, gym owner, my coach about that, and he has no idea, anything about that. And it's like, well, yeah, because like most nutrition coaches or most gym owners have no formal education in how the body works, how hormones and menstrual cycles and sex hormones work, especially not how the thyroid works. So it's like, well, yeah, like you're going to the wrong people. Like these are people, they can teach you how to snatch, they can teach you how to Olympic lift, but it's like that is the equivalent of like going to a fucking pizza shop and be like, hey, can you make me a sandwich? It's like, well, maybe they can help you, but like probably not,
Yeah, definitely. So what are the signs that women should be aware of, like that they are pushing too hard, they're pushing too much, they need to just pull back or just try something different,
So this will be like a lengthy list. So like,
I know,
but it's like,
let's just kind of hit like the top five that you think, like, your average CrossFitter, like not athlete or anything like that, but I'm talking like just your like mom who's just like really just wants to lean out, and she's just like, man, she's adding on like maybe another run, and she's got kids and a job. Like what are the signs that she should be recognizing that it's what she's doing is not the right approach?
So especially for females, the big ones you need to pay attention to is what is your menstrual cycle doing? Because your menstrual cycle, like they say that basically our period is like our fifth vital sign. And so the biggie that's super duper common, especially in high intensity sports, whether it's spin class, Orange Theory, CrossFit, et cetera. But it's like, if your menstrual cycle suddenly ceases to happen, like that is like your body screaming in your face, like, hey, whatever you're doing, like, please exnate, right? So I'd say paying attention to your menstrual cycle, but it's like, to rattle off some, it's like, are you chronically hungry? Reversely, kind of like I mentioned, like if you are working out so much and your body is so under recovered, you can also be not hungry at all. So that's where you see those people that it's like, yeah, dude, I train 3 hours a day and I'm just never hungry. Like, they might not be trying to starve themselves. It's like the body just gets tired of yelling at you to fucking put food in your mouth, so you stop having hunger sensations. So I'd say chronically hungry or chronically never hungry. Chronically getting sick is another one. So it's like, I think everybody can think of that person where it's like they're always in the corner like hacking up, or they're chronically missing the gym, or they're just like wiping their nose and like being gross. It's like, so it's like a compromised immune system and autoimmune function for sure. I would say sleep is another big telltale sign. So it's like, if you are somebody that you're waking up, like, you shouldn't wake up at all, right? So it's like, you should put your head on the pillow and then you should wake up in the morning, and like that should be it. That's like, I know that during like the worst of my health stuff, it's like I would wake up, 2 to 3 times a night. I'd wake up to pee. I mean, even like the waking up to pee thing, people be like, oh yeah, but I just need I drink a lot of water. And it's like, no, like your body down regulates that shit. So like, you shouldn't be waking up. Another one's going to be like, if you wake up in the morning and you are just fucking dead. So like, think of your person that's like, I have to get up and have my cup of coffee. Don't talk to me before, like 8 a.m. and I'm a functioning person. It's like, well, cool. Your cortisol is probably really fucked if you start the day up here, because your cortisol should start you up here and then go down over the course of the day. If you are somebody that you struggle to fall asleep at night, so kind of that tired but wired, where you're like, oh, cool, it's 11 p.m. and oh, great, I'm wide awake. Here, let me think about all the things, just spinning through my brain. So struggling to fall asleep. And the other ones kind of just get into, again, like thyroid function might take a hit. So if you're somebody that you are hypothyroid, and even with medication, like it's not getting better, well, cool. If you're chronically slamming your body into the floor, like good luck having a master gland that operates everything from your temperature to your sleep to everything. It's like, that's gonna struggle as well. So it's like, across the board, if you are super duper sore, you just feel beat up and banged up and stuff like that, it's like, you should like, the way that you exercise should make you feel better. So it's like the common like litmus test that we're always trying to explain to members, because we do get a lot of people just like me that come from the CrossFit space, and then they're like, okay, I don't want to feel like shit anymore. Like, how do I make this transition? And so it's like, I used to think that when I would go to the gym, I had to leave myself on the floor. I had to be rolling around, throwing my shoes off, like shaking my knees, doing whatever. And it's like, I would walk out like a zombie. And so at the worst of it, especially when I was competing competitively in 2015, 16, 17, it's like, like my work day ended at whatever point I went to the gym. And so I remember like, right when I was nutrition coaching, it's like, I could never take calls past like 6 p.m. because it's like, I would go to the gym like 4 to 5 to 6, we'll say. And it's like, I couldn't even like hold a conversation because it was like brain waves, nothing going on up here. But like, when I started and I made the switch to bodybuilding, I realized I was starting to like get home from the gym, and then I would be doing work, or I'd be answering emails. And like, I never put 2 and 2 together, because it's like, so it's like a good example might be, I'll say those psychos that work out at 5 a.m. in the morning, and they'll be like, yeah, it just sets the tone for my day, like I feel so good. Well, like, that's actually how it should be, right? It's like, you should leave the gym feeling better, and if you leave the gym feeling worse, like, you fucked up. And whether that's you went too heavy on the weights, you didn't rest long enough between your sets, you pushed that intensity too far. But it's like, that's even present day for me. It's like, I know, like, especially like leg day, it's like, I can fuck myself up. And so it's like, I still can squat and deadlift, very heavy. And there's a tipping point, right? So it's like, for me, I know that if I deadlift anything beyond like 255, I'm going to burn down my CNS, and like the rest of the day, I will just be a vegetable, right? Explaining that to people that are a little bit, newer training age, or, not quite as, understanding of their body is hard. But again, it's like explaining to people, hey, well, like, yes, you should be sore. Yes, like, you should feel, tired, and you should feel like you worked hard. but it shouldn't be like, I did this the other day, to be honest, on accident, because we've been adding in some stuff for knee rehab. And so I've been squatting even more than usual. And I definitely like overdid it, you know, just on overall volume. Cause it's like, I went to walk down the stairs and I was like, oh, like I can't, I can't do it. Right. But yeah, it's like, we have to help people understand the perception of like, yeah, you should still push it during your training. Yes, you should, you know, try really hard. And it's like, even for me, again, you know, it's like, I'm going to still push my limits, but I know the difference between, again, how much volume becomes too much volume, or, you know, I know like, if I do hop into, you know, if I get suckered into like an open workout or something like that, it's like, I can already write off the rest of the day as like, this will be a wash, not getting anything done. So it's like, it's really hard explaining that to people, because it's like, you have the people that maybe they've never played a sport and they don't know how to push it hard. It's like, how do you teach them that idea of like, well, yeah, try really hard, but like not too hard. Like it's really hard. It takes trial and error. But, you know, time, you know, over time, you do kind of get that sense of understanding. But if you do chase the litmus test of, okay, well, am I sore? Do I feel like I worked hard, but I didn't redline, right? Like most athletes know what it means to redline. Well, if you're doing that every day, that's not training, right? Like that's competing. So it's helping kind of your average person understand, you know, whether they're following a bodybuilding program, whether they all, you know, are still doing CrossFit, what that looks like and feels like.
Hey guys, just wanted to pop in here real quick. I've been talking to so many women lately, and the one thing that just keeps coming up for them is finances. So I listened and I've created a super affordable small group coaching program to get you unstuck without breaking the bank. Every 90 days, I launch a new group program of 20 like-minded ladies or less, and I coach them through this exact steps to losing fat and building muscle without having to kill themselves in the gym or obsess over food. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at natalie.newhart to stay up to date on when the next group kicks off, or just send me an email to claim your spot in the next group. All right, guys, back to the show.
Yeah, and I think another thing like that we have to keep in mind, because everybody's like, well, what's your green day? Like, how hard do you push? And it's like, that is completely different, you know, and like how hard I push is going to be change every single day. And it's going to be different for each person, like depending on what the sort of demands that you have in your life. Like if you are just already just like you have all these things that you're trying to manage and you're just go, and you never have any downtime, like you really like maybe, you know, that you shouldn't even be pushing all that hard in the gym. You maybe just need to like move, you know, because you're already so like just stressed out, you know, and then they're wondering, I can't control my hunger. I'm always eating sugary and salty stuff. Like, I don't know what's going on. Well, it's just this constant go.
And so being in survival mode, level 1000.
And I think we really just need to teach people, which is hard. Like, I think you're so right on with that environment thing. It is so hard to do it when you're surrounded by people who are trying to elevate that performance or like push hard. You know, it's tough. I even have trouble with that. And I feel like I'm good at it now, you know, about pulling back. So yeah, I think almost like the best, and we're going to talk about like, I want to see how you actually made that transition, because for me, I think it happened when I just got out of the gym. Like I had to get out of the gym because I like moved. And so it was something that was forced on me. And it ended up being like the best thing for me. So how did you make that transition from that harder is better to the bodybuilding kind of just going by feel?
Yep. So I tore my shoulder, had surgery. And so a few months into basically recovery, it was like realizing, oh, okay, like I'm officially done. Like there is no way I can compete again. Like it's not worth it. It's not where my heart's at anymore. Like I just don't want to hurt anymore. And so again, like back to that idea of like, we can't heal where we're sick. I actually paid to break my lease. I completely bumped to a different city. So I actually, I was living in Houston at the time. I paid a lot of money to like get out of my lease. And my brother actually lives here in Austin. So that was like the reason that I bumped. But it's like, I just understood, you know, because I was repeatedly going to the gym and feeling conflicted, because it was like, here I was pushing so hard to get back and, you know, be ready. And it was like, this isn't, this needs to heal. I shouldn't be pushing right now, right? And so it's like I had a coming to Jesus because like it was like I was back at the gym a few days after I had surgery. It was like, oh yeah, I'll just be here muscling, pedaling on the bike. Like that's fucked up, first of all. But so like for me, it was like I had a real coming to Jesus. I was like, okay, I need to get myself out of the competitive scene. And so I bumped to a different city. And so that's actually how I met my business partner for Paragon Training Methods present day, is Brian and I were basically problem solving. Okay, like everything shit hit the fan when I had surgery, because it's like my body finally had the downtime to be like, oh, hey, by the way, so we need to tell you some things, right? Your hormones now suck. Your thyroid now sucks. You're going to feel like shit in the gym. Oh, yeah, your shoulder hurts and it needs time to heal. And so it was like, it wasn't even an option for me anymore to keep pushing, because it was just like, my body was just like, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down, shut it down. And so working one-on-one with Brian, it was a trip, because same thing, it's like I was at a CrossFit gym, but Streamline CrossFit here in Austin is so great, because it's like, they do, they have a lot of people following one-on-one programming, or like they have space so that it's like, hey, the class workout is here. If you're not doing the class, you can lift over here. So it's like, there wasn't that pressure. And like I said, at that point, it was like, I was so turned off by the idea of like high intensity exercise. Cause like, I couldn't even like do back squats without feeling like I was going to like black out or pass out under the bar. Right. So it's like, there was zero desire to get back with that. But it's like really just looking at like, okay, like we just need to let the body chill out, right? So it's like I adjusted my food where it was like, cool, like let's just give the body space and permission to heal, to to fully come back from surgery. So it's like I took my food up actually into a caloric surplus. I was training, I think honestly, if I look back, it was like, I think I was only training 3 days a week, because I just couldn't, like I said, it was like anything more started to be that tipping slide where I'd be like, oh, I feel really good today. Oh, I feel really good today. And then I'd be like, oh, I feel like shit. And so we kind of just figured out like, okay, as you said, very much going by feel rather than, hey, this week I want you to lift and squat 200 pounds. And next week I want you to squat 205 pounds. And so like literally all us problem solving through all my health shit is where we founded Paragon, because it was like, well, shoot, like this same problem that I was personally experiencing, all of my nutrition clients were going through, all my friends, had clients going through a similar thing where it's like, well, okay, what programming can I follow while my body is healing itself that's still fun, that's still effective? And I think at the end of the day, again, like there are exceptions to the rule where it's like, if you talk to people from like the powerlifting or strongman community, like they don't give a fuck how they look like, right? It's like they are in it to win it in terms of, I just want to lift the most weight as possible. Whereas again, most people, it's like, well, they want to feel good in their skin. They, they want to look good in a swimsuit. They, they just want to be comfortable with their body. And so it was like, we ended up accidentally developing a program, because it was like, okay, well, like core values. I still want to lift and train and have fun, but I actually want to look like I lift. and addition to, okay, like how do we let, my hormones, we let all of my health kind of turn around. And so it's like, we had to do so much problem solving, because it's like Brian would occasionally program like conditioning pieces. So he would program, say stuff on a salt bike, stuff on, a rower. And it was like, I literally couldn't do it. It's like, I might get through maybe like a 20 calorie portion, and then it'd be like, I need to go. Like, I need to shut this down. Right? So it's like, we quickly realized, okay, conditioning or anything that just really elevates the heart rate, really gets you, operating up here, wasn't an option. Same thing, it was like certain rep schemes. So it's like, it was okay, and I could like lift heavy and do sets of like 6 to 8. But it's like, I remember one time he programmed like 3 sets of 10, which anybody who's like been in the programming space, like 3 sets of 10 is cardio. It's grindy, it's hard work. And it's like, I remember I did one set and like I texted him, I was like, don't ever fucking do that again. And it's like, now again, can I do 3 sets of 10? No problem, totally. But it's like, again, in that moment, it was literally just us trialing and erring, because it's like, well, we kind of understood, okay, for sure, we don't want, a high intensity, like we're not going to program WODs, but it's like, we did have to problem solve through what that looked like. And so it was really cool, because again, it's like, as you get better, well, yeah, you can go back to progressive overload cycles where you're worrying about, okay, 200 pounds, 205 the next, 210 the next, etc. But it's like, when you're in that space, again, it's like, like kind of back to, you were talking about like when stress is crazy high. I actually had this happen over the weekend where we had our 4th product launch in the past like 6 to 7 weeks. And so it's like, I literally woke up yesterday and I was like, I'm not working out today. Like, because again, like Sunday was so stressful for me. That's like, I ate a lot of food. I like went and skateboarded. I took out my stand-up paddleboard, but it's like, I woke up and I instantly knew, oh, like, nope, we are not training today because yesterday was too stressful. And so it's like helping
just
people
felt drained.
helping people listen to their body is so hard because again, it's like, well, you're not lazy for taking the day off, or like, hey, if you feel like shit, working out isn't going to make you feel less like shit, right? So it's like you have to help people conceptualize and talk that through. Because again, it's like, I think a lot of people, they operate out of fear, or, oh, if I don't go to the gym today, I'm going to gain weight, or, oh, if I don't go to the gym today, I'm a lazy fuck. Like, why can't I do this? Everybody else can do this. And it's like, no, like there's so many moving pieces to this, but it's like, especially right now, right? Like if you are trying to work out from home, if your kids are running around and you're suddenly playing, nanny, suddenly trying to, have your own in-house daycare. It's like for a lot of people right now, like it might be totally okay for you to work out 2 to 3 days a week because again, stress is just higher. So it's like helping people understand there's different seasons, and there's going to be seasons where you just fucking smash workouts and you go hard and you do all this stuff. But it's also okay to have a season of rest where it's like, you know what, like I've got a lot of, projects going on at work and stress is really high and all these things are happening. I should just dial it back. So it's really education, opening those conversations. But then also like, again, back to the fear thing. Well, where are those fears coming from, right? Like who taught you, or where did this idea come from that if you don't go to the gym, 5-6 days a week, that you're going to instantly get fat, or is that true? So helping people, kind of talk through, because a lot of times we self-implement these rules around our food of, oh, I can't eat this food, or, oh, if I eat this food, it's going to, it's going to make me fat. And then reversely, with exercise stuff, it's like, well, again, like I made those rules. Where did those rules come from? Well, I think part of it was environment. Part of it was, just the overall vibe of the workout places, that I decided to go to. But B, a lot of those were also just self-implemented or self-inflicted. And so it's like a lot of times to break those narratives, there's no, the only way to is through, right? It's like you have to personally experience, hey, I took the day off the gym and nothing happened. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do it again, and let's do it again.
Exactly.
Right. And it's like, you can't get from point A to point B really fast, but it's like over the course of a couple of months, it's like even with one-on-one coaching, that's the thing where it's like the number of people, like if I could give a generic equation for coaching, right? It'd be like, cool, well, you're not eating enough food, you're training way too much. So helping take that, it's like, how do we move it and shift it? And it looks different for everybody, because it's like, I've had people where it's like, they would fucking lie to me and it'd be like, oh yeah, I'm taking a rest day. And then it'd be like, I'd catch on Instagram story, I'd be like, oh, really, Becky? Okay. But it's like for some people, some changes come so easy, and for some people they get really scary.
Exactly. I feel like the women that I work with, it's very scary, dude. And it's almost like they are aware. They're very aware, just like I was aware, like, yeah, I should probably take a rest day, but I think I'm getting ahead if I just keep going. So, but, and like, I'll just give my clients a walk, just go for a walk, and they get anxiety just going for a walk, right? They can't calm down. So it's giving them not only being aware, but then giving themselves a permission. Hey, it's okay. Like, relax. It's okay to be like, to just let go and not think about anything else, actually, just except for right here, right now. So like, how did you, in fact, tell me, how did you make that transition? You had all this time now, you weren't working out as much, as hard. Where did that energy go? How did you use that? And obviously it had to have been in a way that was recovery based. So what did you take on?
You're gonna love this answer.
Okay.
So I will call myself out on my own bullshit. And so I kind of made an even exchange of energy, because I was putting all this energy into exercise. And working at work, and like, I hate to say it, but it's like coaching was always secondary, right? So it's like people talk about priorities where it's like, oh yeah, you know, this comes first and then my wife comes first. Like for me, it was literally like making it back to regionals / hopefully competing at games, and then work life. And so I really kind of shifted because I like, as my exercise and the time being spent there decreased, I ended up putting it into work. And so same thing, it was like I was still doing the same gross habits of working from sun up until sundown, doing 5 kajillion things. And it's like on paper it looked really good, but I knew exactly what I was doing. Like I knew that it was the same, you know, the same shit,
just a trade.
Different story. And so again, it's like, I don't know at what point I finally started calling myself out on that, because even present day, it's like work-life balance is the hardest thing for me, because it's like when everything is virtual, there's no 9 to 5 clock, right? It's like Instagram DMs never fucking stop. And every single one of those people, right, is a potential client for your programming, the products you're selling, the things you're doing, you know, whatever it is. So it's like, I still struggle present day, but like, even just, I talk about this all the time. And so for me yesterday, it was being like, hey, you know what? Monday's my biggest day of the week, and I need to make my business work for me and not the other way around. So instead of doing my usual, oh my God, I'm going to hustle, it's like, well, cool. My Sunday was stressful as fuck. How do I press pause on as many things as possible? I'm going to go disconnect from my computer, disconnect from my phone, you know, go send it on, you know, some outdoor stuff, and then maybe like come back to the work stuff late at night, right? So I will be super honest and say there was for sure a gross period where I, you know, different shit, you know, different package. But I think
it happened to me too.
I think again, just like Paragon training methods has changed my world, because I kept repeatedly, you know, I was repeatedly meeting myself over and over and over again. And whether it was in our community group, whether it was in emails, whether it was in DMs, you know, it's like, when you're helping people fix their shit, like you have to lead from the front. And all those, you know, all those gross tendencies, they had to change. I didn't have an option, because I can't be modeling one thing over here.
Yeah, you can't
see that shit. So it's like Paragon became such a great accountability for me to stop being an asshole to myself, you know, across the board in so many ways.
Okay, so you sound like you're really good at knowing, okay, you know what, I need to disconnect. So what do you do to disconnect? What are your things that really charge up your tank? Yeah, refuel you. So kind of top 3 things that you do.
So I love going outside. So you'll see a lot of times in my Instagram stories or stuff like that, like I write going to church. So unfortunately with the shutdown, it's a little bit hard. I'm grateful that I can at least take out my stand-up paddleboard, but my oldest brother is actually a famous video game designer, and so I always grew up playing video games. So it's like the new Final Fantasy VII remake came back, so I'm like over here reliving my childhood. So it's like awesome. For a while, it was like 8 p.m. every day. I started like watching the entire like house series from start to finish. So just having certain things that were like non-negotiable dates with myself, right? And that's very much how I view like exercise, where it's like, hey, well, like, you know, from 4 to 6 p.m. every day is when I lift, asterisk, unless I feel like shit or I've got stuff going on or just not vibing or whatever. But, you know, it's a non-negotiable date with myself, right? So very similarly, it's like 8 p.m. every day, like, hey, we shut things down. And so whether that's we sit and watch something on Netflix, we sit and play video games. Like I said, I love starting my day with like, hey, before I even open my computer, I'm going to take out my skateboard. Hey, today is actually going to be an out of office day. Or like I had a day 2 weeks ago that I literally took my stand-up paddleboard out until like the middle of one of the rivers. And so I'm just like floating along and I'm like squinting at my phone, like, you know, writing Instagram captions and stuff like that. Cause it was like, hey, like I built this awesome life for myself where I can work from anywhere. I can, you know, I'm my own boss. This is where we're fucking working today. Cool. So I would say very much it's like balancing, because movement is definitely my love language, but like I can't let myself be like, hey, I'm gonna lift today and I'm gonna go skateboard and I'm gonna go stand up paddleboard. Like holy shit, like that's the thing. But I think that's also worth talking about, because like, there's 2 big fears why I see people don't people are struggling to work out less, and often it's coming from a place of fear. So like you see this a lot where it's like, hey, you know, I used to be 175, 185 pounds. Now I'm, you know, 120 pounds. But now I exercise because I'm afraid that if I don't do the things that got me here, that I'm going to go back to that place, right? So that's something super common that we see. But the other one is just exactly what I just said, where it's like, oh, but I actually don't work out from a place of like self-hatred. I really enjoy it, or it's a coping mechanism. And it's like, motherfucker, you have to, like, this is the biggest thing surgery taught me. And like that transition from like the day I had surgery until I would probably say like a solid year after, it was like, I was fucking miserable because I was suddenly having to deal with all of my shit. I was suddenly having to deal with all the things between my brain. I was seeing, you know, it was like, had to start seeing a therapist, had to start working through my own bullshit, because it's like the own worst enemy I had was between my ears. And suddenly, oh, well, what are you going to do because you're stressed? And guess what? You can't exercise because you're in a sling. You're not supposed to be at the gym. So how the fuck are you managing your stress,
how else
right?
can you do that? Exactly.
So for a lot of people, it's like, that's a really hard thing to teach, right? Like, even if you are coaching someone one-on-one, hey, well, you need to have other coping mechanisms. And somebody's like, wait, what? Like, exercise is my coping mechanism. It's like, let me paint this for you. If we are stressed, exercise is also a stress. So stress plus stress does not equal. So like, figure it the fuck out, right?
Exactly.
So again, that looks different for every person, but it's like, I've seen so many memes and like jokes with the quarantine now, because I follow like a lot of like therapy accounts and stuff like that. But it's like, it's cute seeing the number of people that suddenly have taken up, you know, making bread and making pastries because they don't want to, you know, like they don't want to deal with all the voices and demons that are suddenly causing them to freak out because they're stuck in their home. They can't exercise, all that stuff. And you're like, no, but really, like, that's so true. So it's like, it's funny how we will do so much work in the gym. We will sit and weigh and measure our food. We will use tracking apps and all this stuff. But like asking people to journal, or like asking people to, like, it's really hard to get people to see a therapist. And like, they have to be open to that idea that it's completely normal, that everybody should see a therapist, and that like, it's healthy to do that. But it's like, even that's why so many of my programs that I put out for people, it's like journaling is a big portion. Because again, it's like, you might have shit that you don't realize is a problem. So A, you need to recognize that. But B, okay, well, like, hey, you're somebody that every time you look in the mirror, all you can say is nasty things about yourself, or you pick apart your body, or you question, why does my body look this way? I want it to look this way. It's like, cool, we have to start like getting into that, because like that was self-taught. Like nobody taught you that growing up. So where did that narrative come from? Where did that really icky habit come from? And again, it's like it's almost depressing sometimes when you hear the things that people say to themselves, or say about themselves, or say about their body, because it's like they would never turn around and say that to somebody else. They would never say it to a significant other. They never say it to a best friend. But yet how many women wake up and do that every day to themselves? So it's like journaling is such like it's free, but it's like getting people to work out the things that they're thinking up here and really talk through and like continue to break it down, right? Or just simply, you know, repeatedly asking the question of, well, why do I feel this way? Or why do I do this? Or where does this come from? Is this something that I saw, you know, or was portrayed by my parents? Was it portrayed by the people in the gym, by my friends? Where are these narratives coming from? And like, that's how you get through it. And it's the hardest work. It's a lot harder than showing up at the gym and doing a workout. It's a lot harder than, again, weighing and measuring your food. It's like, that is the hardest self-work, but it's the work that's the most worth doing, right?
It's the root of the problem, right? We just think that if we just sub in a different workout or a different diet, it's like pulling off a weed and it just keeps growing back, right? It's like, you got to get to the root for sure. And that's why I really think, I was just gonna say, that's why I really think that the quarantine is like, you know, as hard as it is such a perfect time for so many people to really find the other outlets that they can use to, and realize that, hey, it's okay. You're not gonna lose your body. Like, trust me, we are all badass. Okay. I'm sorry, but like, pretty much everybody who CrossFits is a badass. They're high performers, high achievers. Like, that is always going to be you. And, you know, even if you don't have the gym, you're going to do something, right? And hopefully they're using this time to see that some other outlets that they can venture and experience and have fun and not make the gym everything.
Yep. And I was just going to say, like, there's so many people that they're searching for we'll call it the one thing. So it's like, they think that there's just something that they're missing. And, it's like they have these perfectly dialed macros. They're seeking, they're chronically program hopping because, well, so-and-so follows this program and they did this, but I'm not getting those results. So, okay, I'll just hop to this program. Or, it's like they hire a coach, they hire, they invest all this money, they buy all these products, all these ebooks, and they're searching for the one thing. And it's like, they don't realize there isn't one thing. Like, you are the one thing. And the thing that's holding you back, again, is probably the shit up here, because it's like, I remember somebody recently, it was like, they sent me a DM and it was like, yeah, so I've been following this program and I'm doing this thing and I removed X, Y, and Z from my diet. And now, I'm doing meditation and I'm doing journaling and I keep getting my thyroid tested and I did hormone testing. And it's literally like, we are doing all the things and you're so busy hyper obsessing trying to figure out what's the one thing that's holding you back from, whatever. We'll say you just want to get like clean, you want to get shred. And they're like, I don't understand why I'm doing all these things. It's like, you should go read like Mark Manson's like Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, right? Like it is really great to track your shit. And it's like, again, it's that happy balance of like, I can track my food every day. And then reversely, like if stress is high, I might not track it all that day, or I take regular days off, or maybe I'm traveling and, it's like there is zero stress. But I used to be the person where it's like, I would track all, it's like, I would like pre-prep all of my food, travel with a little cooler. I didn't eat out. I was terrified of eating out or going out with friends, all this stuff. And so it's like, how do you find the middle ground? Because you're so busy giving a fuck that you're the thing holding yourself back. Because it's like, how many people, right? It's like, well, they stop working with the coach. They stop doing all those things. They get rid of their Whoop band and all the wearables and data. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I got my menstrual cycle back. Or, actually, I finally lost 10 pounds. It's like, you're fucking white knuckling everything, right? And so it's like two polar extremes of like the people that don't give enough fucks. And it's like people that are like, why would I ever track my food? I'm trying to diet and I don't understand why I can't lose weight. It's like, well, what gets monitored gets managed, motherfucker. So like, it's great that you're suddenly eating cleaner, but like if you're not creating caloric deficit, you can't lose weight. So like, how do those two extremes have a baby so you can shake out and hit in the middle? And like, to kind of get back to where, all of my journey, it's like, I feel like I've lived all the highs and lows, which is why I've suddenly like settled right in the middle of like, okay, but I don't think gotten there, even if people had told me the way, right? Like even I had people over the years that were like, hey, LCK, you're training a lot. Like maybe you should eat more food. Like I heard them, I just wasn't in the place to receive it, and therefore it didn't do anything, right? So very similar. It's like, I don't think personally for many people, like most people have to hit those highs. They have to live those lows. They have to hit all the extremes before you can truly be in a place to be like, oh, okay, like this is what it looks like to have a good relationship with food and exercise. Okay, I get it. It took me, 7-8 years, but like, cool, okay.
At least.
It's like, that's hard. I do know people where it's like, they're shredded and they've never tracked a macro in their life. Like they, whatever, but it's like for most people, like you have to have the education, but like experience is always going to be the best teacher.
And
always.
Usually you got to take it to a point where you are just, like I'm just exhausted. I can't do anymore. Or you got hurt, or your health took a major like downfall. Like that's where it's at. And so hopefully, that's, but that's the beautiful part. It's where you transform. So, and if people are ready to transform, it is available to them, through people like you and me, So let's go ahead and get into the final question. So what is, that basically like the people that are listening to this are typically the people that are doing everything, and, obsessing over everything and their whole life revolves around it, or they're the ones that are still doing everything and just like not seeing results. They're eating right and working out. So what is your one unique piece of advice that you think they need to hear to help them find that balance of freedom, and looking fit at the same time, enjoying life and looking fit?
I think that education is going to be the forefront of everything, because it's really hard to do something if you don't understand why we're doing it, right? So like, if you kind of look at your people where it's like they always demand a meal plan and they're like, hey, do you make a meal plan? Hey, can I get a meal plan? It's like, even if I was a registered dietitian, I'm not, so like I can't legally give a meal plan, but it's like, I don't want to tell people what to do. I don't want to know that you're a dog and can follow instructions, right? It's like, I want to give you the information so that you can create a life and be adaptable. You know, if it's your birthday is not going to have cake on the meal plan, right? So it's like you're already getting off that. So it's like, I think that education is the forefront of everything, because again, it's like, for a lot of people, like, let's talk menstrual cycles. It's like, I never knew that so many of the symptoms I was struggling with weren't normal. And once I had that education, it's like, then you're empowered to make change and you're empowered to chase more education, be the CEO of your own health, right? So it's like, I think that education is the start, because it's like, you have to have that understanding of what's normal, what's not normal. You have to have the understanding of, hey, these are really great ideals to, to lean into, and maybe this, isn't such a great habit to have and stuff like that, because then you're empowered to make change. So I think it starts with education, but then I think it starts with, really, are you surrounding yourself with the right people and the right environment? And for some people, again, it's like, maybe you are riding solo, or maybe you do go to a global gym, but it's like having a coach, again, to guide you through all that stuff. Because it's like, even for me over the years, it's like, I've always had coaches. I've had, probably, I would need both hands to count all the coaches I've had over the years, whether that was business, whether that was nutrition, whether that was exercise and programming and stuff like that. That's like, having somebody to really lead the way for you is another way as well. Because again, it's like, we all have our own fucked up problems. We all have our own things that we could improve on, that we could do better. So it's like, having the education and understanding around nutrition, exercise, followed up by, again, having a really good environment that's supportive, and an environment that's full of people living life the way you want to live life. Because again, if you're like, I fucking love CrossFit, I love doing the thing, cool, like, there's totally nothing wrong with that. But there's something wrong if you're struggling with your health and you're trying to dial it back and you're trying to scale and you're trying to make changes to feel better, but then you're getting taunted with, like, people just taunting you or interrupting your journey to try and better yourself. Like, that's not good. But again, it's like having that coach BFF in your corner to just really be there, be your biggest cheerleader. I think there's so many things where it's like, do I think that you need to have a coach forever? No. Do I think you need to track your macros forever? No. But, again, there's different seasons for different things. And so I think the goal is always, how do we start you from day one, teaching you the things that you need to know about how, again, how often you should be exercising, what that should look like, how to exercise in relation to achieve your actual goals or achieve the body composition that you're looking for. Again, on the nutrition front, it's like, how many people I've gotten emails from where it'll be like, yeah, so I really want to lose weight, but I've already tried being vegan. I've already tried being keto. I've tried intermittent fasting. Now all my hormones suck. Now my thyroid sucks. It's like, well, fuck, man. Like, that's where I, as an educator in this space, like, how did I not reach you? How do I continue to get that megaphone out wider? Because there's so much noise. There's so much bullshit. And like, I know that if this person had found me sooner in their journey, well, cool. Like, I preach all the time about how I'm really against like plant-based diets for females, how keto and intermittent fasting aren't appropriate protocols for females, etc. Like, fuck, like, can we go back in time and you can find me and then I'll give you all the tools, right? So it's like, I think those are all really important pieces to that.
Cool. Well, that's awesome, girl, man. So that has been such an amazing talk, dude. Like, hopefully I want to do like some retreats and stuff. It'd be sweet to have you talk so that we can make that impact, so that you can reach those people. So just keep doing what you're doing. I freaking love your Instagram. Oh, it's so cool. I love your website and I love your vibe. I love your realness. It makes it really easy to understand because you talk the same way, that we all talk, like we understand that, the putting yourself, just obsessed with the gym and suffering and all that. So it's been really cool to have you on here. So where can people find you and get in touch with you?
So everything revolves around my name. So if you go to my Instagram, it's Laurie Christine King. Website is lauriechristineking.com. If you go to YouTube, you type in Laurie Christine King. So super duper easy to find. But thank you so much for having me on. Like, this was definitely fun just to talk about again, because it's like, for me, I'm always just trying, like, I've fucked up so many times, right? So it's like, my education always comes from, man, how can I help shorten the learning curve so people don't have to go through all the bullshit I went through? Like, how do we just start you off day one with, oh, hey, please don't make the same mistakes I made. Okay, cool. So it's always just so rewarding, because again, it's like, we go through, we graduate, we go, we leave college, maybe we even pursue higher education, but it's like, most people still never take many nutrition classes or cooking classes or anything like that. And so it's like, hey, me too. Like, we cooked a ton, in my dietetics schoolings. Like, we had several rotations of like cooking in the kitchen. But it's like, when I started college, it's like, well, cool, I was eating like macaroni and cheese and all the bullshit now too, right? So it's like, it always comes from that place of like, I've probably been there, so I really help to speak it. But it's like, I think there's a lot of people too, where people get so techie and nerdy and sciencey, and it's like, if you ever read about like writing content for people, it's like, you're supposed to write at the 5th grade level. So it's like, I think that interlacing some fun, it's like, I can't always make it fun, but I feel like, especially during like self shutdown and quarantine and stuff like that, it's like, I'm like doubling down on like, you know what, people need to fucking laugh. So how can I make my content funny, as well as inviting, rather than, again, it's like, people don't want to listen to super dry research studies or this and that. So like, how do you find that happy medium of like, tell people the shit they need to know, but make it fun, but make it easy to understand. That's always kind of the bubble that I'm working with.
You so are a master. You are a freaking master at it. I was like reading your posts and I was like, Tommy, this chick's a master at Instagram. I was just like, because I usually like, this morning I was just reading all of them. I'm like, damn, she's just like saying it just right. I love it. So you're keeping it super fun. Thanks for all you do. Is there anything, do you have a free gift or anything you'd like to promote? To the listeners?
Actually, right now we are in the middle of launching apparel, but with all of our stuff, we always kind of do very small launches. So like, that's kind of my goal this next year, is just getting into really fun product launches, whether it's, hey, we made a really sick backpack or stuff like that. It's like, I definitely have a certain like swag and a certain like, there's just certain clothing and stuff like that I really like. And so it's like, oh, I guess people are like into the vibe and the way I dress. Cool. So we're starting to do like product launches and stuff like that, but they're usually kind of limited edition. But as always, my ebooks are up for sale on my website and stuff like that. So I'd say just like go to my website. I am always up to no good. So I think even in this quarantine time, it's like, we just had like our 4th product launch. So it's like, we put out a new program, we did apparel. I actually put out, it's no longer available, but same thing, we kind of put up a nutrition and body image and mindset program. So it's like, I'm always up to no good. Very so cool. Get lost on my website. You'll find good things regardless, for sure.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, guys. We'll definitely make sure you check her out. And thanks so much, Laurie. It has been such an amazing time. Thanks for joining me here.
Thanks, girl.
See you later.